Hello, and welcome to another meeting of the Lotus Council. So what we have today, the new 2022 Challenger decks. So, kind of do them in this order. We'll start with the white one. It's a mono white aggro. Stand up for the little ones, okay. I guess that's one way to put it, what this deck is trying to do. And so I'll go through and talk about these decks. I've played quite, like a bunch of these in Standard. I'm pretty familiar with what they are. It comes with sideboard, there's a divider, and you can actually fit a double sleeve deck in here, which is really nice. So let's open this up and talk about what we're playing. So starts off with Redain, God of the Worthy. Looks like a couple of copies. This is actually played in this deck by some people. So there's different versions of the mono white aggro. This one is particularly useful against the snow. Usually it goes in a sideboard though, and you sideboard it in, unless you know you're going to be facing a lot of snow. But it also does tax, so that's good. So then we got Kabira Takedown, Monk of the Open Hand, Usher of the Fallen, more Monk, Codespell Cleric, Clarion Spirit, Luminarch Aspirant, full playset of that, and that is definitely one in this deck. That I hate that card, it's so broken. There's one copy of Intrepid Adversary, 2 copies of Thalia, probably would run a bit more, 2 copies of Skyclave Apparition, 3 of Elite Spellbinder, Paladin class, Fateful Absence, and then of course it does have Faceless Haven, but Faceless Haven is banned. But it does contain Snowlands, which are pretty good to have. Let's go over the sideboard and talk about that. So this white one actually isn't too far off from what is played in Standard. Probably about the time that they were doing these, this was the deck, the version. So we got Portable Hole, Loyal Warhound, Maul, but they added a few new things like Selfless Samurai. This doesn't belong in the deck. Sun Gold Sentinel, this doesn't belong. Cathar Commando. So basically, I would take out these and really try and fix this. Maybe move Redain to the sideboard and add in Adelaine. But all in all, this is not incredibly far off from what this deck is for the meta version. Just Faceless Haven is now banned, so you would likely switch over to another version of the Manlands, so probably the Cave of the Frost Dragon. That's the one. That'd likely be the one to switch over to. Now, we do need to talk about this Gruul one. I play Gruul a lot in Standard, and this particular deck has a lot of issues. It does contain some of the meta. But the weird thing is it's 3 individual archetypes jammed into a single one. So kind of put that off to the side. Let's talk about that. So Uvenwald Oddity. There's looks like 3 copies of that. Yeah, just 3. Yeah, this is definitely one that gets played in a lot of decks because the transform 8/8 other creatures are pumped with an Anthem and they gain Trample and Haste. Really good. Then we got the Huntmaster. I'm not sure why this one is in here, to be honest. Twin Shot Sniper is not played in this deck. We have 2 copies of Helana and Elena Partners, a Goldspan Dragon, which you buy the deck, this makes up for the cost. Light Up the Night, it's not really played. Braids are, Snakeskin Veil absolutely is. Thundering Rebuke does end up, depending on the build, you do see Jasper as Sentinel. Ranger class, some of these run it, others don't. Then you got Magda, Brazen Outlaw, a full playset, Briarbridge Tracker. Some play that. This is where it gets really cool. So these lands are absolutely fantastic, and you really should be trying to get playsets of them now while they're at the cheapest. Turn 1, yeah, it can come in tapped. Turn 2, it'll be tapped. but turn 3 beyond, if you're making your land drops, it comes in untapped. Then we got 2 Lair the Hydra, which is really great to have in here. So decent mana base, decent cards. Then in the sideboard, we got 2 Tolivar. We've got a Kappa Tech Wrecker, although this is, and we got one of the alt art ones. Even though this isn't really part of that, this is a really great uncommon, and it actually would be something I would include. Burning Hands, really good. Thundering Rebuke, more copies. Lantern of the Lost, and then 2 more twin shots, and then you got a Froghemoth. So the 3 archetypes that we're talking about, you have dragons, so you got Magda to pull out dwarfs and dragons. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You've got werewolves. Okay. But then you also have Hasty Gruul. And so you got Helana and Elena partners here. Oddity is usually a part of that deck. Then, of course, Snakeskin, Veil of Braids, those are always included. Ranger class it's usually over here with the werewolves. Honestly, though, this is a deck looking for an identity, and that's really a huge problem. So you're missing several key pieces. You only have one of the gold spans. You don't have any other dwarfs. So you've got 1 tutor for Magda. One thing that you can go tutor for. Not enough treasure synergy for it to work. Yeah, it's a huge problem. You can also do Goldspan Dragon in with the Hasty Gruul. When I do it, go ahead and check out the video that I'm going to link down below for my deck tech. I really run it a lot differently than what you see usually for Hasty Gruul. It's got the Helana and Elena partners, but it's not 4 copies of them. And so this is a really great card, but it needs to be paired with Reckless Stormseeker, which it isn't. And then you want to be including things like Volatile Arsonist, and the way I do it is Hasty Gruul Werewolves, where I have a few werewolves that synergize together. So Reckless Stormseeker, I include in, Volatile Arsonist, and then Howlpack Piper. And so the combo of those 2, all of those together, the Reckless, the Piper, Volatile Arsonist, you can basically tap for green and 1 and put out a Volatile Arsonist and make it bigger and be attacking and really doing serious damage and just win quickly. So really, really, really fun deck. Check out the deck tech below. I've done pretty well playing it in my local meta. These last 2 decks, yeah, I don't know where these came from. These really aren't meta, and they're not really played like this. Okay, so Disruption is great. More Graveyard Trespasser. I mean, this is a great one to include. It is pretty decent. It's got the power word kill, which it's okay, but we're heading into a period with a lot of demons and dragons, so it may not be as useful. Yeah, this Baleful Masteries, but Saw It Coming, that is definitely played in a lot of blue decks, so this is supposed to be Dimir Control. Hero's Downfall is decent. Crippling Fear is decent. Memory Deluge, a full play set of that is absolutely fantastic. This gets played whenever you're playing blue. Got Infernal Grasp, you got the Desert Doom. Blood on the Snow is great. Hullbreaker Horror is great, but then it's got the snow land taps. Hall of the Storm Giant does have a playset of Shipwreck Marsh, which is great. And it's got 2 Evolving Wilds, but it is the cool art for the Evolving Wilds. So it's trying to be something that it's not. Honestly, it would have been, if you're going to be trying to do Dimir Control, you really need a meat hook or 2. Duress, Siphon Insight, Negate. another saw it coming, so you have a full play set. That's actually really useful. That's one of the more popular counter spells, but this isn't meta. Like, it's not really a deck that's played. You could have mono blue control, you could have blue white control, but you don't really see the Dimir control that much. All right, this other one, again, where did they get the idea for this? Because you don't really see a Rakdos deck like this in Standard. There we go. Do not want to give up the secrets. Let's open this and look at the deck. So 2 of these decks definitely were meta-ish. The white one is absolutely the closest to what's on meta. With the Gruul, you got to pick an identity. It's got an identity crisis. All right, so let's look at this. Vampires were played for like a hot minute, and then nobody plays them. So it does have, let's see, how many copies of that? So I think just the one. Okay, so yeah. So it's got 1 Henrika, which is really, really helpful. It's got a playset of the Bloodcaster. It does have the Pathways, the Epicure, that is useful, Blood Tithe Harvester, another Harvester here. So I do like that they're including that, but I mean, that doesn't even go with anything, or that. So, Socialite. Now the cool thing that I wish they had done was mainboard 4 of those. Because in Pioneer, there actually is a vampire-ish Anvil deck. So it's a Rakdos Anvil deck. It's actually really, really popular, and it's making up a lot of the meta. So this just by happenstance, if you're trying to build into Pioneer, you could actually pick up this deck and have the start for a pretty decent Pioneer deck. Because you do need the Anvils and a few of the other vampires in here. So basically, you're sacrificing artifacts to deal a damage and basically drain and gain. And you're also making artifacts whenever artifacts are leaving. So those clue tokens, let me pull up this. Those are artifacts, I do believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, so it's an artifact. Those blood tokens are artifacts. So this absolutely is the start for a pretty sweet Pioneer deck. So you got 2 copies of Florian, 2 of Dominating Vampire, the Predator. Yeah, it's not really on meta. I don't know where that came from. Infernal Grasp. Yeah, that is pretty good. Surge is decent. Village Rites, I don't know where. It's got the Estate, I guess if you're doing vampires maybe, but you can create the blood tokens. It's just super expensive. Now where it's cool is Den of the Bugbear. This is one of the more popular manlands from Adventures in the Forgotten Realm, so really useful. But a playset of Bloodfell Caves? I mean, where's the Rakdo-colored decks from colored lands from Innistrad? Why are those not included? Yes, you got the Pathways, but you need the others too. Okay. So more Duress. Then we got a Braids, which, yes, you need. Callous Blood Mage. Yeah, it can be useful. Anji, Maid of Dishonor is okay. Another Infernal Grasp, and then tokens. So these last 2, they're not really on meta, but they're the start of other decks. So the Rakdos one you can turn into a Pioneer deck. And that's what I would recommend if you're going to get these. Basically, you just need 2 more Anvil and some of the other cards associated with it. Just look at the meta. You do really need those Rakdos lands. You need the Blood Crypt. You need the Rakdos Innistrad land. I don't like calling them slow lands because they're really not that slow. Because it's just the first 2 turns. And they're pretty decent afterwards. This Dimir one, this one is, I don't know where this one came from. It's got a lot of really great reprints, and you can do some cool stuff with it, just not so much meta. Again, Gruul, you have to pick an identity. It's got 3 different decks it's trying to be. And it's not doing it's not doing that well at all. It's basically just Gruul good stuff put together. But it is the start to go ahead and build and put in a full-on Gruul deck and just basically pick the theme and go with it. And finally, we do have the white one, which you got to take out the Faceless Havens. Those got to go away. Get Cave of the Frost Dragon instead. I'd recommend that. And then take out the weird stuff from Kamigawa. I don't know why they included those. Like, Wandering Emperor would be an absolutely fantastic, great build in here. You can turn this into aggro stacks, because you are doing a little bit of stacking and aggro. So, let's see. Redain, great stacks card. And then, of course, you have Thalia and Skyclave Apparition and Elite Spellbinder. I would bump basically all 3 of those up to 4. Paladin class is pretty useful. It can help protect your stuff because it's essentially giving it, it's adding the cost. I really love these class cards. They're great enchantments in my opinion. But this absolutely needs a lot of work in getting it set up and ready. So it's missing quite a few of the key pieces. Like, you do need an Adeline. That's really needed. But it's just about there. It's just a few swaps, few upgrades. You could definitely build this pretty quickly and not too expensive. The Gruul, pick a style and go with it. Rakdos, you got to turn this into Rakdos Anvil for Pioneer. It's just, you just have to do that. That if you're going to get this one and try and use it as a deck, you need to switch it over into Pioneer. So this is a great start to a Pioneer deck. The Dimir one, I would break it up for singles, to be blunt. And then, of course, if you're just getting 4 singles, pick this up because Goldspan Dragon is more than the cost of the deck. It will drop in price, but that's not a bad thing. But this is going to rotate out here in just a little bit come fall, and it's going to go back up in price. It is a great card. It will continue to see play in Pioneer. I don't know if Modern plays it that much. It sees a ton of play in Commander. It's a really popular Commander card. So, yeah. So, these are the 4 decks. Not too bad. Kind of fun. Yeah, thank you for joining us today. So, hopefully this was a fun video for you. If you're interested in knowing when we're meeting next, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and join us in our Discord. We're gearing up for New Capenna, doing some fun stuff. We've got box breaks that we've done. If you're interested in doing more, just join, let us know. Hey, can you break another box? And we'll see about getting another one. And we also play a ton of games in there, so really check it out. If you're on the lookout for cards, go check out our friends over at Geekified. You can find them at Geekified, Iowa. They got sealed singles as well as supplies and assorted geeky stuff. Check them out and let them know we sent you. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. That's all we have for today, and our meeting is now adjourned. We hope you have a fantastic day.